Their engineers have not written a single code in a long time. Everything is written with assistance of AI. That's impressive. I know that we are still writing some code, but I don't believe that we will be writing a lot of code probably by the end of the year. Hello everyone, welcome to the PAYSTRAX Talks podcast. I'm Gunnarsson, I'm CTO and co-founder of PAYSTRAX.
Hi, I'm Petras Abaravičius, head of IT at PAYSTRAX.
And today we'll be talking about technology in payments, AI, cloud, infrastructure, some good topics today.
Sounds exciting. From what we should start?
So, obviously, I made a list of some topics that we can discuss, and let's start with AI. That's the hot topic today. Yeah, people have been talking about it for years, and now it's here, and it's for me it's sparked a big fire. It's really exciting technology that we have, but we have some challenges with being a financial institution, with being a fintech.
Indeed, it sets the scene, I would say, in a little bit limited way, or maybe not so much freedom. But why you think we're facing it? It's part of our business, part of regulation, or maybe just part of proper usage or adoption of technology?
Yeah, it's a regulation. There's heavy regulation. There's talks about deregulation, in industry, and AI well, it's challenging because regulators, they tend to want the people to make the decisions, not the technology. Although technology can be used for helping with making decisions. And well, we've seen new standards come out. You have experience with that, with DORA coming out in the EU, and we had to do some extensive audits. So
yeah, and we're quite in the journey there. For me, it's on one side it's so exciting that technology is so capable, and so many technologies are so capable. I think I still have a fire in my eyes, but now I'm a little bit cautious. It looks like the regulation says that so many things are possible, but in the way which removes maybe the parts which were most exciting. Or you can do everything. AI is better at everything. It's faster, stronger, more argumented, can adopt different scenarios in milliseconds or seconds, or if you choose heavier queries or heavier scenarios, maybe in minutes, but what at least for me would take months. On the other hand, you suddenly see that, okay, what can I put to the scenario? What can I do with that? On which data I can have the decisions? And for me, it was a little bit removing this fire from the eyes and having the reality check that some of the data first you, again, need to put to the box, play inside the box, and find your own recipe, how we can go outside the box. So it means how can we control it, or just to look maybe what also others are doing. It's a good example to be on the bleeding edge, but I think it's also a very good example to be with early adopters and seeing what they have done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in regulation, I think there is a community when you say standards, regulations. So of course in fintech we have good communities where we exchange our wins. Because we have them, we exchange our pains. And it's interesting also to observe what others doing and go forward our way. I think you can agree we had maybe shortlisted 19 vendors. I don't want to say 20 plus in shortlist, but 19 is amazing because everyone was doing that. But for regulation purposes, we ended up only with several strong POCs. Mm-hmm. And several toolings. So for regulations, I think it's good. I have trust that when everyone is playing by the same rules.
I think we will come to the POCs later because I have a feeling that there's a lot of experimentation happening, and that not every proof of concept is successful.
We will have Gunnar for that.
I
for
think
sure.
we'll come to that properly later. Being in the payments, and from a regulatory perspective, then we have decisions to make, because there is fraud in the industry. There are fraudsters. There are good customers, and now payment companies are a lot about improving the acceptance rates of the customers, not turning away the good customers, and there's a challenge in that also from a regulatory perspective, making these kind of decisions. So that's one topic that we need to come back to as well. When we talk about the POCs and comes to the noise, we have I don't have the exact numbers, but there's a quite a high value of, or high percentage of proof of concept that simply fail. We have had such initiatives that failed. I guess that's part of the revolution.
Part of a revolution, or part of maybe right decision making. I don't think we should be in a rush and just select something which is loudest, shiniest, or we just like it most from the first try. We should try, experiment, and we should continue to do that. For the numbers, I think we looked that last year from fintechs, 42% of AI initiatives failed in our industry. So maybe it shows some maturity, what we want to do with AI as an industry. What's possible, and maybe some solutions vendors brag too much. So as you call it, noise. What was said is possible in reality becomes either contradictory to requirements or contradictory results are being achieved. I think we have to be very solid with our solutions. We're highly regulated. And also who is in charge of the decision making of AI? So when you speak about fraud detection or prevention, I believe everyone in the market agrees, including regulators, that this stops crime, this raises confidence in digital payments, this raises confidence on the solutions in the market, this protects customers.
But we have so many like. You go to these conferences and everybody's demonstrating their latest and greatest in AI, and demos look really good. When it comes to a regulated environment, it's not as easy to solve the issues as the kind of the demos illustrate.
Good topic, Gunnar. And I think we can catch one pattern. Demos usually are done by humans to humans, by vendors themselves to clients. We are the clients of AI solutions. And maybe part of failures is that we expect that technology will give the answer, which we think is correct, but when it comes to integration between technologies, I think early solutions were just not ready to connect what humans communicate to humans. But integration between technologies was just not there. So maybe it was wishful thinking or statements what's possible, and maybe it is, but nobody was ready with integrations. I think at least I'm not ready to spend 2 or 3 years on POC of a solution. And then it would work. I would still expect faster wins.
But I think that as far as products go, and with the POCs, we are going into like agentic systems and building agents, and you want to build your assistants. And I think a lot of the companies in the industry are moving fast in that direction. We're certainly doing that here, looking into all sorts of areas, building expertise and kind of maintaining it within AI. But we do have so there's a lot of noise, but we always kind of being in our industry, we always come back to the regulators and the restrictions that we have, with the data governance and, can we use this data? Can we use this data with, that system? We have a lot of technology coming from the United States, coming from China, maybe less so in Europe, but being a European company, we have to focus on the European regulation, obviously, and in the UK as well. We have as we are present there as well. So probably a lot is kind of hindered by the regulations. So we come back to the noise. The noise being that in an unregulated environment, you can do a lot. You can do whatever you please. But in our industry, we probably are we have to take very cautious methods, and that's why I think we tend to maybe go slower.
Slower or maybe more in controlled fashion, because what is fast, what is slow. In my vocabulary, reaching for success for 3 years, we should be much more ambitious, and we are on that. On the other hand, I'm just reflecting.
I guess it's important to have the basics nailed down, the framework, the policy, what can I do with AI, so that you feel comfortable to move forward.
But Gunnar, isn't it that also we're becoming a bit of experts, and it's not enough to have just generative solutions, which are very nice and, as you said, noisy, because you can do a lot. It's so nice to do quick tasks. They're just one by one, not solving company productivity or our business functional problems, which we are solving, will be solving, and we will do in a much more automated way every year. I believe it's just will continue with a rising speed, but the slowdown maybe also us understanding the regulations, playing by the rules, not making shortcuts, maybe even maturing our partners in all those preparations for POCs. I believe we also help the partners to whom we said no to explain so how it works, how our market works, to what their solutions have to be ready. And agentic AI, I think, is the only way to go, because it's just another step, next level, which makes things work, at least in our industry. Agentic is a way to go, and it's only scenario driven, where we have multiple steps, and those multiple steps have to be actually predicted in advance. We don't have necessarily to describe all of them. Good Assistant actually helps you to say what are the step 17, 19, 72, a little bit earlier when you know that it will be more than 50 steps there. So maybe it's us maturing and also slowing down in controlled fashion to understand what is right, what is suitable for us in a long term. And I believe also our commitment to say that if regulations will change, we are ready. If our solutions are selected, we are not vendor locked. If we need to switch, we can switch.
Yeah, but it's important to proceed with confidence, because we have a lot of responsibility to protect data, to protect our customers, to protect our customers' customers, and so having that kind of framework in place where you can move ahead with confidence, I think is extremely important. I have another topic or another line here, which is about where AI is proven in payments. I think a lot of work is being done in the background, with the due diligence, with compliance, or risk assessments, etc. A lot of things are moving forward in that space, but when it comes to payments themselves, I think probably fraud is where the most of the kind of published research or numbers are being presented. How much of fraud is being prevented. AI buzz is not only the large language models like ChatGPT and Claude and what have you, but it's also something. I mean, it's not been around for a couple of years. It's been around for a long time, like machine learning and such technologies. And we have research from Visa and MasterCard dating back a few years, talking about artificial intelligence. I guess in real time it becomes challenging to do AI, but definitely we are moving in that space to make decisions in real time. And as a player in the payments industry, you need to do that. Comes back to what we discussed earlier about being able to detect, the bad and the good actors in the market. When you have a prompting agent like ChatGPT, you can think for a long time, but the payment needs to happen in a sub-second.
Milliseconds, ideally. Same with fraud. And when you said it's actually hundreds of billions of transactions monitored successfully, prevention, I believe, exactly by vendors you said, it's actually AI fighting AI. Bad actors are using AI to have very sophisticated phishing schemes or extremely lookalike payment pages. Bots are trying to guess card numbers like in real time. And what's interesting enough, by looking to materials, I see that some of the prevention measures already mark your card as potentially compromised before actual attempt is being done, just because other patterns are showing that it comes to that direction that your card might be compromised. So AI is pretty proven in the things which are not just fact-driven, but good modeling happens, and it becomes a fact which is already predicted. So I believe it's strong. Usage cases here, but same on the business side, it shows that we have excellent opportunities to be on the frontier.
Yeah, we're still in the phase that we're using machine learning. We need a lot of data to understand our what our payments look like and how to tune it for optimal performance. But this is clearly we are entering a new stage in this in the industry where we are leveraging AI at a much larger scale than we have before. So that's probably a topic for a larger podcast, I guess.
We can, I think, do serious on that, and data is the king and will be the king for long. No matter who is doing the decision, human, machine, agents, it has to be data-driven in all cases, and understanding, interpreting it, having control over it. The ones who will succeed at that will be actually the winning squad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, investment in people is becoming quite challenging. I think everyone in the workforce, wherever they are in payments, they need to supercharge themselves with AI somehow, and not least like in the development of payment systems, and everything like surrounding, like with onboarding our merchants, with due diligence, etc.
Interpretations, and I feel it's exactly that clear understanding also in your voice and in the voice of the colleagues with whom I speak daily, that it's not about asking AI, make my reply more professional. We're already professionals. In PAYSTRAX, we're really well known for excellence with working with our clients. It's not about making a nice picture or illustration, getting some ideas, or just doing the breakdown of works. That's really the past. That's really the past. And when you say investing to people, it's also unlocking their understanding of potential of AI. Because one thing is regulations, but I believe we are standing strong here in PAYSTRAX. But when the usage according to regulations and having this enabling mindset everywhere, all employees.
Yeah, I mean, we're hiring AI engineers at this moment, and we have a strong AI lead in the company, and I think people's eyes are opening that this is the real deal. You need to learn how to use this technology to your advantage. I think a lot of people are obviously doing it like recreationally, but when you start to use the technology in a certain way, that is like use it to you plan your work. You're not only asking questions, you're actually doing a plan and executing a plan. I think that's where you're getting really strong. I read an article on companies that are really big companies. Their engineers have not written a single code in a long time. Everything is written with assistance of AI. That's impressive. I know that we are still writing some code, but I don't believe that we will be writing a lot of code probably by the end of the year.
That's a very good challenge to see. And I think we can exactly do follow up on that. On the other hand, it's really nicely connects your message when with still people, still knowledge, zero line of code. As I see it, it means mastering the tooling which you have. Don't code directly, but still you need to guide agent.
I mean, I said
set the target.
I said, of course, people are still writing code. Then I really sat down to think about it. But
they moderate it.
They are moderate. They're the drivers. They're driving it, obviously, but they're not writing it line by line. So that's a significant shift. You can see the code that's being generated by AI is enormous. And coming from a developer background, of course, I needed to see if this was the case. And well, I'm afraid that non-developers will be trying to do something that they really can't do. I mean, I guess that when you're using AI, we need to have, there is an expertise. You cannot like become an expert from AI, but you need to be the expert that is driving the agent or the system that the AI system that you're using.
That connects nicely to the nice topic we talked, because not being the developer, you still can write excellent code already now. You can, I think, do a lot of QA stuff on that. You can make it really reliable, but in real life application, when you have some of the dependencies, which agent is just not aware of, so still setting the context, skill is needed for that. So part of white noise maybe or disappointment was created by not right usage, by not having correct moderation, and correct moderation of AI is a skill.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still a skill, and I believe we talked that there is no silver bullet. You can't have just one AI vendor, one AI engine, one AI internal development initiative which will solve it all. Most probably for developers, we have to have something specific and accept that as a part maybe of bigger picture. For legal, compliance, QA, any specific task, we might have a different solution. If it does the work, we just need to see what's more efficient. We need to moderate it correctly.
Yeah. And I find that increasingly more that putting more emphasis on when we are hiring into new positions that people are open to AI. That's like hugely important. So one of the things that payment companies are concerned about is the customer experience, and I believe that a lot of AI initiative is going towards the journey of the customer. So actually, AI is present in a lot of the customer-facing technologies, and that's part of detecting the fraud. It's part of adapting to what the user wants. So I think that's something exciting, and that's Visa and MasterCard are working on this. So it'll be exciting to take part in that journey as well. Because in the end, it's payments is about being seamless. It's like electricity. You just have electricity, kind of.
Yeah.
And payments is like that. You don't want that any sort of friction.
Agree on that. It's a helping technology. It contributes to customer experience in both ends. May I suggest a topic for us to touch on? If cloud is still a thing?
Cloud is still a thing.
If cloud is still a thing. I think it's interesting to switch and look into it, because you said we have a lot of data to be concerned of and work with. It requires a lot of resources, training of models. They have to happen somewhere. Even regular business, no matter how it looks, it needs to run on something. And it was called V-transformation, going to the cloud. Last year it was like 92% of financial institutions utilizing cloud in one way or another. And I still think cloud is the thing. We matured. I think the technology got rid of the noise. We talked about the noise now, but everything is possible. Everything can be done. When you start to test it, it looks like some things have to be regulated, some things have to be kept private, and some things just have a cost, which is either acceptable or not. And there is a switch. I would say there is a switch which starts to being called smart cloud. So not everything on private cloud. Some things where you have stable load, where you just see that it's really about daily processing, which can run in very predicted fashion. Makes total sense to be.
So you're talking about the hybrid model as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You have a part there.
Yeah.
Like having good business, is also being in control of your expenses. So expenses is one component.
That's one of the challenging things about the cloud. You can spin off so many resources that all of a sudden you're out of pocket because you spent every last dime on the technology. But yeah, and we've seen that even here. By using of AI, we were able to find a very deficient cost in our infrastructure, where we reduced the cost by 98%.
And that's the beginning of a journey, right?
Yes, and that was really impressive usage of AI. But it also goes to show that the cloud, it can be a minefield.
It can be, but is it time to put a nail on the coffin? Absolutely not.
No.
Because technology scalability, being close to the market, where you have to be, like sub-second, in milliseconds of service availability, I think it's still unbeatable. When we speak about resiliency, of course, we are experts on payment technologies. And do want to be necessarily payments on infrastructure, building, hosting, running it on our premises? Not necessarily. It's not our core competence. So cloud still has this ability to provide you the edge of the experience, the edge of the technology, the premium client experience, which also has value. And I think we have smart investments into that. So the only challenge which I see, regulations. We started from them, we continue with them. I'm wondering with what message we will end our podcast. But regulations are putting some pressure, and when we talked about white noise, that everything is possible, it was really so good that you select one global vendor for one or another reason. Let's say we're a regulated company in the EU and UK, so we know our geography, and then you are in blue ocean, safe harbor. Not anymore. We need to have resilience in our mind. We need to avoid vendor locks. And it comes suddenly with another expense type. Being cloud agnostic means that you're building technology which is not tailored for some specific usage case, and it brings a little bit longer delivery times.
So yeah, being cloud agnostic, meaning that you can have like your technology in different clouds, right? The Google and the AWS and Azure
and we are there.
I mean, we recently seen some serious outages that affect companies in the cloud. Some really big companies which you rely on for being stable and up and running, and they failed. So cloud technology is, of course, I mean, it's default today. I don't think that there are only a few companies that are still running only in local data centers.
And so most probably for good reason, but for our sector, I believe the right path is really to have very strong presence in public clouds, distributed way, really have, same as we're doing some hybrid implementations where it makes total sense, where we are totally in control or in established processes or due to regulations. So being smart, I believe, calculating, understanding also your client needs, because we're working always for the client, makes the cloud still relevant. Quite interesting that we spoke about some regulations. The whole globe also moves quite at big speed. When we're looking to APAC, there are extremely big players there who are building their cloud infrastructure, which I believe technologically is really nice, mature. They're building their own engines. They're really interesting. They're really exciting, and just excited to read and know about it. But in our regulations, we also know we need to know our field of playing. So,
yeah, I think a very good decision that we made in our journey on the cloud is to deploy serverless architecture, because well, all of the clouds now offer, and we are in the payments, so all of the clouds, they offer PCI DSS components. So you can build your infrastructure knowing and trusting that the vendor, the supplier, is PCI DSS compliant, and that's a huge. Well, yeah, it's basically huge.
Agree. Compliance by architecture. That's, I think, the only smart way to build things up, not to catch up later. Always start with what we want to reach, how it will be compliant, what are our targets. And cloud gives very good bullet point to strike through. Unless something is failing, and I will touch upon it, we don't need to take care that infrastructure is really working, that compute and network beneath services we observe are really working. And of course, we have to observe that our services are up, but this part of this burden is being taken out from our shoulders. And outages, you talked, quite interestingly enough, there were some, I believe, vendor mistakes, but also it was some third parties impacts which rippled network providers, cloud providers. So there, once again, I believe it's smart thing also for even top cloud providers to look to their vendor logs, to look what's going there, and to look to their resiliency. This actually makes my belief that our decision to be present on multi-cloud providers is really rightful. And also for them, if they are now in top 3, top 5 providers, we have to be strong, we have to look to the future. They also need to continue to work on resiliency. Industries, clients like us will also continue to watch that. And that will influence our decision. Is cloud the thing? Yes. Where the clients will host their infrastructures? It depends on the vendors.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that, well, cloud comes with its own challenges. I think one of the challenges being that this, what we already talked about, is the cost. Because some of the workload that you have is maybe better served from your own infrastructure. But from the start of the company, we have wanted to be like in the cloud. We are using technologies like Snowflake, which was a very good decision that we took back in the day, which allows us to have a data warehouse without having all the trouble of building the infrastructure needed to support like heavy workloads for databases, etc. And it takes a lot of engineering and to maintain and set up and to scale. So scalability of the cloud is like, and that was one example only I got yesterday, that we were doing load testing on some applications, and being able to increase the resources for us just a short amount of time to be able to see what the system can handle. That's really something that you can hardly do when you're like
no shipping is needed, like more RAM, more CPUs, more network. That's really
and some impressive numbers I saw as well. And in increasing certain resources, you can find the bottlenecks. You can increase what you need, memory, CPU, etc.
Yeah, queuing exercises. Again, it's about utilization of technology. Again, it's about having great team. What I believe, your example of Snowflake, it's very complex, multi-tiered infrastructure right now. But when it's not on-prem, it's scalable. We adopt new usage cases quite easily, I would say. They are not easy per se. We adopt them easily.
Yeah, like on demand, you have something on demand, you need to compute really quickly. And that's what you have in the cloud, the possibility to buy that extra resource on demand.
And actually, here finally I find one easy bullet point for compliance. You started from it. Architecture by design, compliance by design. Anyway, periodically checks have to happen. So when you have automated checks, automated compliance, when you have this by design also on vendor side, it makes business easier, because year 1, you're building that. Year 2, year 3, year 7 plus, you evolve, and you're absolutely sure that you're doing that in compliant way. So it helps to remove maybe the continuity. Like we have already solution by design. We know that it's compliant. If any new POC would introduce any change, we know that it will be introduced in compliant way.
Yeah, cloud for me is still exciting.
And
it's been around for a long time, but I think it's we're always seeing something new in the cloud.
And we'll stay for a while. And we started from AI, and I just thought, what makes sense? We talked about expenses. If you want to just train a LLM, you will never buy something for 2, 4, or 5 millions on-prem just to use it for 2 or 3 weeks for training. Use a cloud for that, short term.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe running the loads, that's another topic. Then you need to actually to do some research, see is it cloud, is it hybrid, but it gives also excellent opportunity to just quickly adopt, test new technologies or run huge loads.
Okay, and another another topic. We recently acquired a company in the UK, NoteChecks, and people have been asking me about, you know, what's that like? How, you know, what is the, you know, what do you need to look into when you get another tech stack in house? And well, my response to that, when you're acquiring another company, there's a lot happening before you make the decision. Obviously, you have to look at a lot of things and do your due diligence. But as far as the technology goes, well, the company is about the business that it's doing. So it's the services that it's providing. It's not about the tech stack, at least not in payments. You want to have good customer experience. You want to onboard your customers quickly. You want to, you know, the service is what it's about. For me, the tech stack, although I'm the CTO, the tech stack is something that you can gradually work on. So the way that I look at it, you need to understand the business, the people, the processes, you know, the customers, what is happening within the company. Then you can look at the tech stack. Obviously, you first look at the customer experience. What does that look like? You know, what is facing the customer? Then you need to understand, you know, how resilient is the system. You need to understand how fast is it? Is it a modern experience that the customers are getting? And I find that, you know, when you dive deeper into the technology, that you need to obviously need to find some synergies for the company, and but a lot of companies fail with the integration. They buy a company and then they fail to integrate, and so I think that's a huge part of the due diligence before making a decision to acquire a company, to kind of be confident that you can use the technology, that you can eventually merge it, so that you can you know, take the best of both worlds. I just wanted to touch upon that because that's one of the things of the latest things that we did was acquire this company in the UK, NoteChecks, and they have some great technology there. They were among the first to do some of the technologies that we see. They were quite in the forefront of adopting Apple Pay and Google Pay into their platform. They worked with MasterCard back in the day, probably from a beta version of the Click to Pay, which has taken several years to get adoption, and still is let's say going strong. It's not as good experience as Apple Pay, but I've recently seen more and more of usage of Click to Pay, and NoteChecks was at the forefront of that. So yeah, coming back to this about the tech stack, it's not only about the tech stack. It's about how you see the companies, like you know, merge the technologies. What's your take on this?
My take on this is that when two successful companies need to join operations together, we really have to be vigilant, as you said before the process start, but also it's very interesting and exciting experience when we are during the merging, looking exactly where are the winning points of which company, because it's so great to see that there are things where we learn from each other, where technology is not necessarily driven by acquiring company or acquired company, So it's about the people, it's about being open, it's about finding common denominators. Technology, as you said, is a known thing. It can be driven, but how it can be driven, we had this journey, and I was really surprised that two successful companies with different approaches, maybe how it had to be built, can operate now together. We are really working strong, and technology, what's interesting, faced the same challenges which are solved maybe in a little bit different way. So I'm looking forward to strengthen both of us in field of AI, to really still continue utilization of the cloud, and of course continue working with excellent team and growing it.
Mm-hmm. I was asked also, what does the timeline look like? What comes first? What can wait? And my response to that would be that customer comes first. Business need to run. We cannot afford any sort of interruptions. And from a technology standpoint, we build a backlog of the migration, and we're going through it step by step, and building a roadmap, a joint roadmap. And I think and I know that we are doing quite well in that area. We have a fantastic team in Leeds with NodeChecks, and a fantastic team in Lithuania, and doing a great job of working together. And so business comes first. Backlog of what needs to be done, and obviously with all companies that are developing, they have some sort of technical debt, and that needs to be part of the backlog.
Gunnar, I see a spark in your eyes. So very open question. So are you ready for the next acquisitions, or maybe it's not yet?
Yeah, we see something on the horizon on the acquisitions, and some exciting things. Looking at the technology, they are really exciting. Might be challenging, but we like our challenges. So
And we look ready for that.
Yeah.
That was a good discussion. Gunnar, thank you for inviting me here. Thank you to listening to our podcast.
Thank you, Petras.